What is up, RotoGrinders? Dean here, Dean78904. That is my daily fantasy handle. Hopefully that finishes somewhere atop some of the big boy contests going down tonight on the old Fanduel and the Draftkings. This is a start of 2+ hours. Mlb Dfs talk. We're going to have Chief jumping in momentarily, soon enough. He's just strolling in casually late, I suppose, but we'll get Will for his props as well. We focus on DFS, but of course, well, Tim, you write articles sometimes on occasion. I didn't get a chance to look for scores and odds. Do you happen to have any gambling takes today?
I do. I sure do, Dean. Yep.
Is there an article ready for the people? Is it prepared? Can we drop that link in chat so they're aware?
There is an article out there somewhere.
Well, I mean, I can do it.
Yeah,
I can multitask.
You're gonna have to do it, Dean.
You know, I believe in a thing called synergy. You know, sister channel, sister station, sister site. Scores and odds. Let's go ahead. Let's see what you have, though, people. If you have any takes, we'll drop it out there for those that are early in chat. And of course, Scores and Odds is a premium product, but we also have plenty of free content out there as well. Look at you and Keith. There's 2 articles. How about that? I'm going to drop yours first, Tim, because I like you and you're here. I believe Keith's on later.
I think it's because I'm here, Dean. I don't think it's because you like me.
I'm very two-faced. Yeah, like behind your back. If it was Keith, I'm yours. I can't read I've already read Keith's article. I didn't even know yours existed. But yeah, excited for to dig into this throughout the show, dropping it to the people. Here it is. It's in the chat. What's up, chat? Kindly hit that like button. Do subscribe. Turn on those notifications. And I believe, no, it's not Keith. We got the return of Dave Potts, Cheeseisgood and DerekCarty, they've been having those, they've been combating it. They've been having some good conversations, some polite conversations, polite disagreements, healthy disagreements. We'll put it that way, I suppose. They'll be jumping on for crunch time with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. Last I checked, there's no precipitation issues this evening. Of course, weather we know can be fickle, and it can change on the fly. And if it happens to do so, Roth will be all over it. No fire emojis, by the way. I mean, man, I guess it's just September. It's cooling off a little bit. Only 1, maybe 2 games that actually have a team total of 5 or above as far as this slate. Even the environment there in Boston's not great against Dallas Keuchel. I think that's the one that has a team total above 5. But yeah, have you noticed that? Like it's throughout the country, it's cooling off a little bit. It's not the best baseball weather of late for homers, at least.
Yeah, it's starting to cool down a little bit. It's not as offense friendly. It's more of getting to be more of that pitching weather, and we're not seeing any kind of fire emojis, any rain risks either. Nothing real big like on Kevin Roth's weather edge either. So it's a pretty weather neutral day today.
Yeah, I'm pulling up in the fly for the weather edge tool is a part of the premium package. I think you can get a la carte. I'm fairly certain you can, but if you're under the umbrella, you got everything else that is included, obviously. Nothing really jumping off the page. I saw Boston was really taking a hit earlier. I guess it's subdued or the weather has changed a little bit. It's not as bad in a 163-game sample. Slight hit to run, slight hit to homers, nothing crazy. But 65 degrees, kind of a crosswind. Not a ton of wind, but 5 miles per hour going across basically from first to third base. Met Stadium is not great. Typically as bad as is, but Josiah Gray has given up a pile of homers this year, the most homers per 9 amongst all the pitchers, taking the bump tonight by a pretty good margin.
I think that Mets weather or wind is important today because it's just such a bad hitter's park, Citi Field.
Yeah.
So I know that we want to attack Josiah Gray because of his home run problem, but it's a really bad park for hitting. And then you add on this weather edge, and it's it kind of makes me feel like maybe the Mets aren't as good as we had hoped they'd be today.
Tim, I want to tell the people to give you a follow on Twitter, but you don't tweet. Even put out some bad tweets. Bad tweets help some people. I'm sure you've seen Twitter. Even the people who put out terrible tweets. I don't know how to dunk on somebody who has terrible tweets because all it does is just give them more eyes and get some more followers, right? But
and you know what? I'll always talk to people about sports on my Twitter, but that's it. So if people want to talk DFS or sports, that's fine. You can definitely follow me.
Okay.
I talk to people about hockey all the time, but yeah, I don't use social media that much.
Fair enough. That's probably for the best, really. I mean, it's getting into a whole diatribe. Let's avoid that conversation.
Hey, Dean, I'm officially introducing Will to the stream, Dean.
Oh, Will, thank you for joining us, Will. A few minutes late, but good you're here. We appreciate you jumping in. Feel free to follow Will on the old Twitter machine. I'll give out Tim's Twitter. It's Tasteful Times. Will, of course, is at Chief Justice 06. Will, how are things in your world? Happy Friday. Glad you can join us. And I did promise the people some potential prize picks winners. I know you do Mucky Knife Fight videos as well. I don't know what you have for the people today, but I would imagine
I always got prize picks. I always got stuff going on, and don't you worry. It's going to get cranked up real big next week. I'm probably going to have a video every day, and I'm cool with that. We want to get out as much content as
what
possible.
happens next week, Will? What's going on? What am I missing? What's happening next week?
NFL is on the way.
What? Is that a thing? Are people excited about that?
I hope so. I'm excited.
You think people will be talking about best ball on Twitter? Oh, wait, that's all they talk about on Twitter, right? That's my entire
best ball is very important for these folks.
I just like TJ. I don't think he's on the show today. He's certainly not on with us, but there is a handle to TJ. Did the Spidey bombs hit yesterday? Is the name of the person in chat. I don't think Spidey played yesterday. To be honest, I don't recall. No, we didn't have a show yesterday. But I just like that handle. Shout out to that person who I don't know if they answer. If that's just maybe they'll just like tweet in the chat, or type in the chat, no or yes, maybe 1 for 3. Shannon saying, am I blind? What's up, Shannon? Yeah, I wasn't watching the stream, so my apologies, Will. I don't know how long you were hanging out there. I didn't mean to neglect you or ignore you. I just didn't know you were there. So
it's all good, man. So, and listen, I'll tell the people what happened. It's no secret. So, the new RG schedule came out, and so we're in the September schedule now, not the August schedule. And I just did not. I saw I had a show like early this week, and it just didn't dawn on me because typically I have my schedule locked into my head like right away, and it just did not dawn on me that I had a schedule show today. And so I was on my way to get a haircut. So let's talk about how important Twitter notifications are. So a Twitter notification comes across my phone and says, TGIF, thank goodness it's Friday, right? And this is from Devin. First off, TGIF. Second, we still have MLB, DFS Almanac, Chief Justice 06, and Tasteful Tides are on Roto. And I said, oh my goodness. I told my girlfriend, I said, I'm going to have to cancel this haircut appointment and turn around. And Dean, you know about Charleston traffic. So even though I was a few minutes from my house, I could not just turn around and get right back. So Devin, shout out to you, my good sir, for all of the notifications. Get on your Twitter notifications. That's the moral of this story. They do really, really help.
Would it have killed you? You saw the tweet. Would it have killed you to give it a retweet? Like, just let the people know what you're doing?
I was driving.
All right, fair enough.
It may have killed me to give out a retweet. In fact, that may not have been the best idea.
Probably a bad question there in retrospect, yeah. But I was like, oh, you saw the tweet. You didn't give it a – and Tim doesn't give it a read. He doesn't bother. He doesn't want to mess with it. And it's he only has so many tweets he can put out there. He's got a quota of like 1 per week or so. But you don't want to use it in this one.
Not even.
And it has officially been retweeted.
Season. Wait till hockey season.
Smash the under on 1, and then hockey season, then you smash the over. That's how it works.
Yep.
Izzy in chat says nothing worse than the grade my draft guy. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad nobody's ever asked me to grade their draft, and I'm not qualified. I'm not that guy. I have a draft. I have the RotoGrinders draft. You guys probably aren't in that, but it's been like the same people like the last 6, 7, 8 years. Very few people drop out, but that's Monday night. That's my only season-long draft. I did a best ball with some other friends, but I don't even know who I have on my team at this point. Who cares? We'll check it at the week 10 and see how we're doing, I suppose. Yeah, Will. What are your thoughts as far as this slate? We were kind of touching on how, I mean, the hitting, nothing really stands out. Pitching, we have some good pitching. Like, there's a lot of pitchers that are just okay enough that you don't really want to roster them, but you don't really want to pick on them. We got, an awesome matchup with your Braves and my former Marlins. Sandy Alcantara, Cy Young winner on layaway. Like, that's almost for sure guarantee going to happen. Charlie Morton against the terrible, putrid Marlins. 2 of the better pitchers taking the bump tonight. Then you have a guy like Luis Castillo, Darvish, who they're good, but not necessarily the best matchups. Peterson for the Mets is one of the cheapies that's kind of sort of popping. What are you looking at here, Will, as far as this slate overall?
I mean, I think you kind of summed it up somewhat in terms of the pitching. I think, and I'm going to touch on FanDuel a little bit. Like on FanDuel, I don't think we're going to be as interested in Castillo. He's 10-8. Like that feels really pricey against Cleveland, even though he just mowed Cleveland down for 10 strikeouts in his last start, for what it's worth. And so when you've got high upside guys like this, I do think there's some value from a tournament perspective, looking at Castillo. He's 9,900 on DK, which of course makes him a lot more appealing. I think, and I don't want to call it an elephant in the room because I don't think it's an elephant in the room, but how do we feel about Lance McCullers against the Los Angeles Angels? Like, the Angels still stink. They still strike out a ton. And McCullers seems to be very reasonably priced at 8,800 on DK, 8,400 on FanDuel. And, yeah, his leash may not be what it was, but I think there's tremendous upside if he goes 6 innings here. Like, I do. Because this Los Angeles Angels team, boy, do they stink in the strikeout department in a good way for pitching. So he's a guy that's definitely on my list. Texas Rangers are striking out a ton right now. Miami is always going to strike out. Like, those are the teams that I think, we've got a shot to use some of these pitchers and attack. David Peterson at 8,300. I know we talked about him being cheap. Pavetta's close enough. Like, I think they're just guys that you can take and kind of mix in. I don't feel like there's one slam dunk pitching play tonight for what it's worth. Definitely don't feel that way, especially on the main slate. Now, I will say, if we had Alek Manoah on this slate, then I'd be playing out plenty of Alek Manoah, but he's not available to us.
Who are they playing? That's like a 640 game, right? I don't know who's
playing. Pittsburgh.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, but he's not available. So I think in tournaments, I think Luis Castillo is really a big-time play against a low strikeout Cleveland team, but listen, he's got enough stuff to get it done. So once again, that's tournaments, though. Tournaments. David Peterson, we've got David Peterson at 40% and Nick Pivetta at 13%. And while I'm not a huge believer in Nick Pivetta, let's call it long-term, in today's matchup against Texas, sign me up. It's 65 degrees out there. And there's definitely strikeouts. And it's like, look at that. Look at this plate IQ here. I mean, there's strikeouts. Can we go back? Look at this. There's strikeouts in this Texas lineup. Pavetta's 7,700, garnered about 13% ownership right now. He's on the list. So, yeah, that's kind of where I am at pitching. And then another guy that I don't think we're going to get a lot of is Jordan Montgomery. I don't mind him either against the Cubs. His strikeouts have come up tremendously since he's been in St. Louis. And, yeah, I know he faced Atlanta, only picked up 4 Ks, but I don't care. He's pitched a lot better since being in St. Louis. Yadier Molina's got him doing damage, and I think there's strikeouts to be had in this lineup. So Jordan Montgomery is another tournament guy that's on my list based on his recent trends there in St. Louis. And if you look at the recent trends in the in Plate IQ, you will see a couple things. But Jordan Montgomery is also on the list. I'm going to be quiet. Oh, he's pulling up the recent trends. Look at that.
We got producer Devin. He's not messing around today.
Yeah. Pull up the recent trends. So, I mean, I like it. It is what it is. If you scroll down, Devin, I think you will see all the way. There we go. So the K percentage is up to about 24% since he's got there. Walk rate is down. I like it. This is good stuff here. So he's giving up some hard contact to get a few more strikeouts, and he definitely will pick up a few more strikeouts against the Cubs. I am in.
Tim, I had a hard time doing my rankings today as far as deciding between the Dean Kramer and Pivetta and Springs. That's sort of like next tier, like after Peterson, after Morton. We'll talk about those guys in a second. But do you have thoughts as far as those three? Any separators? Pavetta, Springs, and Kramer. I see Kirkwood in the chat. At least thinks Dean Kramer is better than Dean 78904, which that's fair.
Better at what?
I just at life, I think, just in general.
All right.
Yeah, if he's gonna do Dean power rankings, I get it. If he wants to put James in front of me and Jimmy, that's cool. No issues. What do you have as far as this? Those three. I brought Springs into the conversation. Good ballpark to pitch in, tough matchup, obviously against the York. You're going to get a playoff atmosphere, like where when you see the Yankees come to Tampa, their spring training. The Yankees have spring training not too far from Tampa, at least historically they have. I'm not sure what's been of late, but typically that's where they have been. There's a lot of Yankee fans in the area. A lot of New Yorkers come to Florida. I'm sure you're aware of that. So it's going to be like a playoff, and it's also like a meaningful game too this time of year, obviously. So there'll be people in the building, and I don't know how to quantify that. I just throwing it out there. Like if you're actually watching the game, it's going to feel different than most Rays games do. But
it could actually, like on that point, Dean, it could actually limit his leash because they might, how Tampa Bay is, like in these meaningful games, they might limit his leash, but even in a larger setting, like even if this game didn't matter, I think there's more downside to Jeffrey Springs than upside. I think I would much rather have Dean Kramer than Jeffrey Springs. I think I would rank them Kramer, Pavetta, Daniel Lynch, and then Springs.
Michael in chat showing his age, and I used to have this dude's rookie card, Dean Palmer, former Texas Rangers prospect. You guys aren't old enough to remember Dean Palmer, I don't think, but somebody's old enough to remember Dean Palmer. I don't think it really worked out, but he had, he was a big prospect at one point, maybe in the 90s or something like that. The weird thing with Kramer, Tim, is that he's been super, super lucky as far as a homer and the fly ball, and I guess you can sort of account that to the new ballpark there in Baltimore, which is obviously the left field line is ridiculous. They moved it back so far. His home in the fly ball this season is 6.9%. That is nice, but it's also lucky. It's super, super lucky. He's got an ERA this year of 3.24, but the xERA, we're talking about 4.36. The Sierra, we're talking about 4.25. There's some negative regression in theory coming his way. The Ks are not spectacular at 18.4%. Walks are good at 5.3%. But also the matchup is good today, too, and that's all we really care about. I think he probably keeps surviving. Like, eventually it's coming, the monster, the regression monster. But I don't know. Just forget I throw that out there.
That he's one of my guys that I wrote in my article. I actually took the over his 4.5 strikeout prop. And okay. I completely agree with you, though. Like, regression is going to come his way. I just don't think it's going to be against this opponent. So I really think that he's gonna, I think he's gonna cruise pretty easily in this matchup. Like, I don't think he's gonna get lit up. I think he can pay off this price tag pretty easily. Like, yeah, his strikeouts, I mean, he doesn't have a huge ceiling, but I think that, like I said, points per dollar, I think he can excel in this matchup pretty easily.
Let's take a peek at the ownership stuff. And we'll talk about Alcantara and Morton and maybe the better pitchers in a second, I suppose. But we're kind of bringing them into the conversation. Like Morton on DK, we're looking at, there are 26 dudes throwing baseballs. Well, whatever. There's an opener there in Chicago. There's a lot of games playing tonight. And Morton's got 48% ownership. That's a monster number. We got Peterson at 39. That's also a monster number for a guy that's like, he's fine, but like he's not amazing. Good ballpark, good matchup. Just kind of working our way down. Kramer, we have at 7%, which seems a little bit low to me at 7.1%. 7.1K. Pavetta at 14%. And Springs in the middle at 9-ish for what it's worth. If that holds, though, Tim, Kramer at 6 to 7% on DK. That obviously the ownership stuff is fluid, and they're just perfecting it more and more the closer we get to lock. And I imagine that's going to bump up a little bit. But even if it's like 10, I think that's pretty good for Kramer.
And we have him as a top pitcher 10% of the time. So I mean that's a pretty good number, and very similar to Springs. Like our simulations also have Springs at like 10% owned and like right around 10% in the winning lineup. So they're pretty close. but I strongly prefer Kramer.
And I'm sorry if I forget, Will. Did you have a take amongst those three? Who was your favorite? Was it Kramer as well?
I think so.
Okay. Well, let's jump up to Morton. I don't really know. I kind of buried the lead as far as Morton facing the terrible Marlins. Not a great ballpark, but they're also a horrific offense. Morton's got the biggest K rate on this slate, assuming you don't count May for the Dodgers, who he's just come back. He's thrown 2 starts, 31.7% the entire season. Morton's at 28.6, facing a terrible Marlins team. The walks are pretty good. He's just been super solid all season long. The leash is pretty good, despite the fact he's old. That's your team, Will. What are your thoughts as far as Morton? This should be a really, really good pitcher's duel. I believe 7 is the total we're looking at, which is a really low number when you consider the Atlanta offense typically is, despite the fact they've been horrific the last few days and flopping tremendously. And that ballpark is a good hitting environment. But Alcantara versus Morton, phenomenal pitching matchup. What's your thoughts as far as Morton grabbing just a boatload of ownership? We're close to 50% on DK, if I remember correctly. Yeah, 48.6, and Fanduel, we're looking at 27%. And I think it's justified. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's getting a Marlins team that is definitely going to be striking out tonight. Now, it's not going to get everybody. Of course, you got, Mr. Joey Wendell at the top of the lineup, who's probably going to give him a little bit of trouble just right out of the gate. I'd say a 6 to 7 pitch out here. Or single to kick off the first inning. But, all in all, pretty much the rest of this lineup, I mean, he should have his way here. So I like Charlie Morton. I definitely think he has a really, really good game tonight.
Did you call him Mr. Joey Wendell? Was that like a sort of a shout out to Arrested Development? Is that what was happening there?
No.
You know the song Mr. Wendell, I presume, yes?
Nope.
No, come on. I mean, you've heard it. You just don't realize you know it. You don't know Mr. Wendell?
I was just being respectful.
You have not said Mr. Charlie Morton. He's the first person for no particular reason you're being respectful about.
Yeah.
Right. Tim, do you know here I ask? No, you don't know. Arrested Development?
Oh, yeah.
Show, nothing to do with the band.
Yeah, I love Arrested Development.
The TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, there's a band. There's
a band, Arrested Development, absolutely.
Google it on your own time. It was a catchy song back in the day, 90s-ish. All right, we'll jump back and forth. Tim, what do we do with Morton? Of course, Tim, you are sort of you come at slates similar to me in that you have the single entry mentality, the 3 entry max mentality. You're not necessarily building lineups to beat 40,000 people. So are we going? And then we also know single entry, 3 entry max, whatever this projected ownership happens to be, it's going to be higher. Whatever chalk is, it almost always elevates. The good stuff is going to be even more popular. Are you embracing the presumed popularity of one Charlie Morton?
I absolutely am on DraftKings. I have not fully made up my mind on FanDuel because I don't know if I possibly might want to drop down to David Peterson for $1,800 less. I also think there's some merit to pitching Sandy Alcantara on FanDuel just to be different, even in single entry or lower risk type contests. So FanDuel, I haven't completely made up my mind, but on DraftKings, he's definitely going to be one of my 2 pitchers.
For what it's worth, I do think Sandy's going at least 7 innings tonight. For what it's worth.
I mean, he does every start, right? Like it's ridiculous.
Almost every start, but I definitely think he's going at least 7 tonight.
I want to say
I've got props that say so.
Is it 20 and a half? Is that the number? 20 and a half outs?
That's what it is today. Yeah.
I mean, they're going to get him the Cy Young. I assume that they care about that to some degree. They have not considered slowing him down at all this year. If you look at the pitches, and he's been efficient too, 111 last time out. He dropped the complete game, not the CGSO, but back-to-back games against the Dodgers. He got smashed the first time, second time around, he got him pretty good.
He was at home.
Yeah. Yeah, he was at home.
Second time around.
Sure. But like, yeah, the longest leash in baseball, I'm pretty sure if you look at pitches thrown per game, fairly certain he is the number one guy. Yeah, 102.1 on the season. And if you want to shorten it, like, say like the last 4 weeks or so, I presume he's number one. Well, no, Garrett Cole is number one. So much of that, but it's still a big boy number. It's 99.8, whatever. He's going to throw almost definitely over 100 pitches. Is that still a thing they offer on Prize Picks? I've not played there.
Yes.
What's the number? Like 101, 102? What's the number?
Yeah, he was at 101 somewhere up in there earlier when I checked. For what it's worth, since we're talking about, I do like Springs over 85.5 tonight. For what it's worth, I mean he does teeter-totter it, but I think against the Yankees at home, I think they're going to let him ride. So I do like Springs tonight for what it's worth, and Sandy's at 101.5, which is not bad.
By the way, Tim, you mentioned considering Alcantara for single entry on Fanduel. I had some time pre-show and I was messing around, and my current entry in the RotoGrinders sponsored single entry series in the pickoff does have Sandy Alcantara in it. I would say paying up to be different, but he's not going to be that different, right? What do we have him, like 15%? We got him at 12%. I hope that holds. I mean, I think that's spectacular.
I think he's going to be pretty different on FanDuel. I think obviously Morton's going to be number one and Peterson's going to be number two. Like, I think that Alcantara will be pretty low owned. Will did make a good point that like his last start was at home. I wish this start was at home. Like, this is a huge park downgrade for him. But
yeah,
the big X factor is that the Braves strike out. Like this is a really, really good matchup for him. And like, he's not a huge strikeout guy, but he might be able to gain a couple strikeouts here tonight. And then, I mean, his leash is just huge. Like, he can easily get the complete game here tonight, which is just gigantic.
I was looking at the numbers. I think he's got 4 complete games in the season, and I feel like there's maybe 25 or 26 complete games. He's got like 18% of baseball's complete games, basically, which is insane. Like that's an absurd number. He's crushed Atlanta too. If you care about such things this year, he's played them twice, 17 innings pitched, which, by the way, that's crazy, but that's just what he does. 21 Ks there. He's given up 1 run. That's it. Just 1 earned run. Well, 4 runs, but 1 earned. Like, he's been really good against this Atlanta team. Obviously, it's a tough matchup, tough ballpark, but he's overcome it before, and I'm happy to bet on him overcoming it tonight. And I don't think there's this mega opportunity cost at pitcher. Like, the pitching slate's not spectacular. There's a bunch of guys that are okay. We'll run through, like, oh yeah, I guess you can roster that guy. Sure. If you want to play Sonny Gray, okay. Yeah, he's fine. You can play McCullers, I guess. Montgomery, yeah, sure, why not? But I don't feel like I'm missing out on somebody that's going to drop. Like, I'm not fading Spencer Strider. I just love what's going on in the chat right now. Whether there's just dropping some random Red Sox like from the 90s, Mike Greenwell and Ellis Burks. What is Calvin Schiraldi? He was the guy in the mound that blew the I guess it wasn't really his fault, right? Wasn't he the Mookie Wilson? Wasn't he on the mound for that? I recently watched the 30 for 30 with the Mets 86 season. Pretty good watch. It was good stuff. Like,
oh man, have any of you watched Untold? Operation Flagrant Foul.
I watched the first. I have everything in the last 15 minutes, but yeah, it's wild. And I mean, Tim Donaghy, you're not really sure how like truthful he may or may not be, but like, it's weird that like of all the money that was being made on the games, he was fixing, right? Like millions of dollars. He was getting $2,000. Like, that was his cut.
Tim Donaghy said he made $30,000.
Like, that's insane. Like, I mean, like, and he also said like he wasn't using inside information, and he also said, well, he said he was using inside information, and he wasn't
fixing the games.
Yeah, but like, he's got the whistle, like subconsciously, if nothing else. Like, you're gonna be blowing the whistle.
No, I understand. Listen, I'm just giving out what he said.
Yeah.
This is an opinion. This is what he said on the documentary.
Well, why is he getting? I mean, he didn't have to pay for his losses. Great, good for him. But he's making $2,000, and these guys are making $1 million a game.
Okay. Another sidebar.
Yeah.
And Tim, please, man, I'm sorry. I took this off the rail, so I'm super sorry about this. But here's the kicker. It was about to be a double agent here. He's going to go in with a wire and expose the NBA, right? In terms of what they're doing. He's like, look, there's a game within the game, right? He's going to expose the NBA, supposedly. The FBI goes to the NBA and says, by the way, we're investigating you guys. And then a story drops, and nobody knows where the story comes from. The NBA still, to this day, Tim Donaghy, they said he's a convicted felon. However, he still gets his referee pension. This is accurate. It's on the documentary. Dean, in what world does someone screw up so bad? Now, look, if it's his money, if it was in his 401k, like I get it, right? Like that's his money. He put it in there. But he's still getting a pension check.
I'm going to guess, just like Major League Baseball and their umpires, I'm going to guess the union is very, very strong. Like people complain about Joe West forever and Angel Hernandez forever. And like, when do umpires ever get fired? Just doesn't, there's no accountability. Nothing ever happens to those guys because it's a crazy strong union. And I assume the NBA is
Scott Foster's still reffing and Chris Paul can't ever get back to the finals now. Listen, it was a good documentary. I think if people watch it, they get some insight. Listen, here's the other thing. I do believe there's some truth to the NBA actually being the real fix on the games, right?
Listen.
Well,
like, in what way? You're saying Donaghy was not a lone wolf, as they were suggesting.
Okay. Here's my point.
Put on the tinfoil hat. Let's do it.
Here's my point. The NBA back, and they showed the clip. Sacramento was on their way to a world championship or an NBA finals, and they showed the clips. But you have to go back and watch the whole game. And to this day, people say that was one of the worst officiated games in the history of playoff basketball. Fouled. And, of course, people want the Lakers. Is it going to be more exciting for the Lakers to go to the finals with Kobe and Shaq versus Chris Webber and Mike Bibby in the game? Absolutely.
That was a fun Sacramento team. For what it's worth, it was a fun team.
It was incredibly fun. Yeah. But the NBA wasn't going to let Sacramento go to the finals that year. Come on. You weren't going to take down Superman and Kobe. Furthermore, watch this. In the documentary, Michael Jordan, they said they want you to, the NBA says, hey, crack down on the spin move. However, I don't want you to call that on Michael Jordan. Okay? Yeah. The game within the game. The fix in already. Now, do refs have it in their power to screw things up and mess with players? Absolutely. We saw that with what? Allen Iverson. Iverson got into it with one of the refs. They said, okay, we're going to take matters into our own hands. Iverson's going to start getting called for the palming violation during that game and just really screwed over Denver, right, against Utah. My point is the refs play their part, but trust me, the league is incentivized for the stars to go all the way. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're not going to risk the integrity of the league for like a couple ratings points. I understand. Like, and at the same time, subconsciously, like you're just much like an umpire is going to give Greg Maddux, the outside corner, a little bit more than some rookie that he's never heard of. Like the same sort of principle applies to stars. Tim, you know what we're talking about? Are you still with us, Tim?
I haven't seen it. I want to see it though.
Yeah,
I think everybody that's involved in sports and this side of the business, I think you at least go and watch it. I think and just get an idea of what it was about. It's enlightening.
I was in the Vegas sportsbook watching that Lakers Sacramento game, and people were going insane. It was a wild scene. January 2002 or something like that. Whatever it was. Was it January? I don't know. I feel like it was 2002 though. By the way, somebody in chat mentioned the Manti Te'o documentary. Maybe we'll get off the rails later in the show, but I assume I don't know if you will.
That was next on my list. That was next up. I have watched the N1 doc. I'm not going to talk about it. That one was great.
I should watch that too.
Manti Te'o is definitely next on my list.
Yeah, we owe him an apology. We owe him, but just it's wild. It's definitely worth watching. The Manti Te'o documentary. They do a good job there on the Netflix with some of those. I haven't watched the Pistons one yet. What
that was good.
Malice
Oh,
with Malice.
oh yeah, that was real good.
Yeah,
Get on that, Dean. Another good one.
Yeah, I like a good sport. I did watch the one in there. There was like this 17-year-old kid got like a minor league hockey team, and his dad was like connected to the mafia. That's a wild one too, and like minor league hockey.
That was pretty good.
That's your speed, right, Tim?
Yeah, I don't remember what that was called though. But that was a pretty good one.
I don't remember what it was called either, and I knew nothing about that story, but it was really interesting. It's like, oh
yeah,
wow.
I didn't know anything about it either, but it was good.
Paying players under the table and just beating up other teams. It was kind of wild. In like small town New York or something. I feel like it was in New York, but I could be wrong. But definitely worth checking it out. The documentary is called Untold Operation Flagrant Foul. We'll get back on the rails. Look, we got 2 hours, 2+ hours. We got the crunch time crew coming in about 50 minutes or so. We've already basically worked our way through pitching. We'll talk about hitters, whatever else is on the chat's mind. I did see an egregious number of likes. Just 20, I think, as of like 10 minutes ago. That's not enough. I gotta wake up in the morning, look at myself in the mirror, and like if 20 likes, that's just, that's not gonna make. I got an ego, You guys know Tim, like pre-show, this is all an act. This is unpersonable and affable on air, but like behind the scenes,
you were being passive aggressive behind the scenes, and you're being rude. You were being rude to both me and Devin.
Was I?
I feel like you're more personable on air, actually. if you want to be truthful.
What's up?
Dean, did you say we had a putrid 20 likes though?
That's what it was, I believe. Yeah, last I saw.
Dean, you know what we got to do to these likes, right?
What do we got to do?
We got to pump these likes up, people. Come on. Let's Joe Budden the likes. Pump us up. Let's go. Let's go.
Dangerously close to that 5 seconds.
Dean, I'm bringing some of my hosting tactics into my non-hosting show. Let's get excited here, buddy.
All right. I guess we should finish up as far as pitchers, Tim. I don't know. Is there anybody? There's a bunch of new pitching. Like we kind of mentioned some names in passing. I feel like, and I suspect you're probably similar to, I'm concentrating basically on like 5 or 6 options, and that's more or less it. Where are you at as far as pitchers? Is there somebody we should have mentioned we haven't mentioned yet? But or just, you want to just give me the summary of the guys you like, and that's that.
Morton is the obvious option. I think he probably has the safest floor. He's got a tremendous matchup. But Will kind of alluded to this at his very first thing that he talked about. There's no like real slam dunk. Like I don't think Charlie Morton's a slam dunk. There's not one guy that'd be like, yes, like I'm 100% playing this guy. I'm 100% like I want to be way overweight in my GPP portfolio. Like, Morton's gonna be, I would say, like probably 40% on DK, maybe even higher. Like I don't know if I'd want to go higher than that. Like maybe I'd match the field with him. I don't think he's like a lock, but I think that he's safe, and I don't think that there's a lot of options where you like have to go tonight. I like Peterson's price on Fanduel is tremendous, and if that extra $1,800 like gets you more like a better stack, I think you go with him in any kind of format. And then I also, like we talked about, Alcantara is a really, really good tournament play on both sides.
Tim, Matt in chat says Peterson's greater than Kramer. Where were you on? Yeah. I think you like Kramer, or you like Peterson a little bit more than Kramer. That's close, right?
I like Peterson better than Kramer, but I ranked Kramer ahead of Pavetta and Springs. But yes, Peterson definitely better than Kramer.
I would add though, like, should Peterson be 39% owned and Kramer be 7% owned? Like, I think that's too much of a discrepancy as far as what's the difference between those two guys. It's not that great, is it? Maybe it is.
Maybe it's not that great, Dean, but I think that there is a significant difference in terms of talent. Yes.
Right.
But I agree with you that gap is probably technically too large.
I mean, generally Peterson's not the kind of guy that I'm like, yeah, this is the guy I want to take all the, he's going to be 40% owned and I'm going to be on that or over that. Like, is this
you know who has the highest projected pitches tonight?
Is it not Sandy Alcantara?
It is not.
It's Peterson?
It is.
I mean, okay. Yeah, I mean, they'll let him go too, but in theory, I would. I'm just saying,
then you consider price. it's like he's super cheap and he's only whatever 1,200 more on DK. And I think he's super cheap on FanDuel. I don't know what Kramer is on FanDuel. I didn't consider Kramer on FanDuel, but yeah.
Well, I can go ahead and pull it up. I got the lineup HQ up in front of me as far as Kramer's asking price. He's 8.7, so I think he's more playable on DK. Fair to say?
Right, but I'm just saying Peterson's a way better play across the board, on both DK and FanDuel.
Yeah, Peterson on FanDuel was 8K and 19% as far as the ownership current projection. And we have Kramer at 8.7 and just 2% over there because, probably less raw points and he's more expensive, so I get all that. Hey, Will, we barely mention Luis Castillo, who's been really good with Seattle. A tough matchup in Cleveland. We saw he crushed this his last time out. I believe it dropped 10 strikeouts on him. But Cleveland, of course, pretty contact heavy. And Yu Darvish, revenge game for Yu Darvish. I'm not playing Yu Darvish, but I understand if you want to. Don't really like to pick on the Dodgers. Should we acknowledge their existence? I acknowledge that there it is. I guess Castillo over Darvish if you're going to force me to pick one of those two, but they're both kind of in the pool if you're running 150. I don't think I'm getting to either, though. What say you?
Yeah, no, Castillo is definitely my tournament pool, Dean. I think I kind of alluded to that, despite the fact that he's in a pretty tough matchup, like very rarely do we see Castillo go under 5 strikeouts. Like that's the crazy part about it. Like if you look, and this is more of a let's call it a game log play. How many times does Castillo go under 5 strikeouts? Not very often. I mean, and look, he hasn't faced a whole lot of low teams overall, but I mean, he's got a leash. 10 against Cleveland, 5 against Oakland, 9 against the Angels. He had 2 against Texas. I mean, he pitched 1 inning, so he probably just came in for relief or something crazy. But 7, 8, 8, 8, 8, 6, 11, 6, 6, 3. That was against St. Louis, 6 against Washington, 10, 6, 5. And now we're getting back to kind of when he first started. And as, do I think Cleveland's a good team? Yes. Do I think they're invincible? No. If we played this slate 100 times, how many times is Luis Castillo the top pitcher on the slate? Let's go 20%. Those are my thoughts. I'm just kind of spitballing here. But if Castillo's going to be the top pitcher 20% of the time on this slate, ownership's at 4% on FanDuel. Like you get what I'm saying? Like there's a road where even if he's not the top option, he still scores 40 plus fantasy points on FanDuel or 25-ish on DK. I don't think it's the most likely path. Like clearly, I think Charlie Morton has the best chance to get there, but I don't think we should count Castillo out in this spot. Just from a tournament perspective, this is purely an ownership upside play. The guy has the skills, and I think he can get it done. The stars have got a line for him, but in tournaments, him being at 4% has me very intrigued.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the big, red flag, I guess you would say, is that the first 4 hitters for Cleveland tonight, Kwan, Rosario, Ramirez, Naylor, 8.2% striking out versus righties for Kwan, 16.3 for Rosario, 9.9 for J-Ram. Also, he's awesome when he hits the ball. And Naylor's got a ton of power and 11.4% as far as strikes too. So, it suppresses the ceiling in theory, but we've seen him overcome this before. But yeah, it's just not the most appealing of matchups, but they're not always facing, Luis Castillo every single time. And he's got a pretty strong K rate of 27.2%. You got anything else, Will, as far as pitchers? Anything else you want to reiterate? I know Tim kind of gave his rundown. You want to add anything that maybe he may have left out, or you want to double down on something, or you want to say Tim was wrong about something?
No, I'm good, man.
No, I was trying to stir the pot and just I was trying to be a little instigator and it didn't work. It backfired.
Daniel Lynch for tournaments, I think, is a really good play. That's the other thing I wanted to say. Like if you really want to get like all the bats and as an SP2 on DK, I really like him for tournaments.
I do have Daniel Lynch over 23.5 fantasy points on Prize Picks for what it's worth.
Yep, I like that.
Cheyenne mentioned May in chat. I love the skill set on May, and like it's nice to see the K's be there this year. Obviously, a small sample, and he's got a pretty cool arsenal. Like historically, in a small sample, he wasn't striking out a bunch of guys, but don't really love the matchup against San Diego and the price. 10-1 on DK, 9-3 on Fanduel. I mean, I like May, and I'm not picking on him, but I don't think I'm rostering him. What do you think, Tim?
I think he's too overpriced. I don't think this is that good of a matchup. I would take a back seat for tonight on May. Honestly, I think I would X out both May and Darvish actually out of my player pool.
Yeah, if you were running 150 though, would you handle it the same way?
I think I do.
Okay.
I think I'd X them both out.
I kind of hinted at it earlier, the Fanduel single entry series. If y'all are not aware, I believe I'm excited. This is the last time I have to read this because I believe this is the last day. Well, it goes until Sunday, but I won't be on air on Saturday or Sunday. Fanduel single entry series winding down. It's the last week. Of course, if you guys have been playing all week long, you know how it works. Your top 4 scores throughout the week. Whoever has the highest top 4 scores Monday through Sunday in the single entry series, you got to pack your bags quickly because you're going to go to Chicago in like 5 days or 4 days, whatever it is. Next weekend, the 9th, is the single entry series finale in Chicago. Of course, that's when the live qualifier, the championship, the Fanduel championship, where TJ will be participating, Squirrel Patrol will be participating as well. So you guys get to join that. Of course, it's a separate contest. I believe it's just 8 people that have qualified in the Fanduel single entry series. $50,000 total prize pool. If you bank it, you get $10K up top. You also get a free trip to Chicago. Hopefully you've been playing all throughout the week and you can finish strong and you get yourself atop the number 1 spot there in the single entry series, and pack your bags quickly and hit that Fanduel single entry series final in Chicago. Producer Devin, jump on for a second. Did I see in chat that we're doing something in Discord? What are we doing in Discord today?
We are giving away 3 weeks of combo RG premium, 3 separate weeks to 3 separate people. Sorry.
So how would I don't know. What is this Discord? Explain to me how Discord works. How would I go about doing this? I want to participate. How do I get myself a chance to win myself 1 week free of RG premium?
Well, it's actually really simple. If you're on the RG homepage, you can click the Discord logo here in the top right, and it'll actually take you right to it. But you can also go to rotogrinders.com/Discord.
That seems simple enough. It's like, why would I not do that? Because 1 week free of RotoGrinders Premium, that would include, correct me if I'm wrong, Devin, but it includes all the sports with the exception of NASCAR. So I can get NFL content, which is happening. Well, I guess you'll get the content at some point before the week 1 closes or comes up on it, but you'll see some NFL stuff. How about that? Yeah, you'll get it.
Well, Dean, you're kind of lightly touching on it. It's just in time for Thursday night football.
There it is. Are you excited for football season, Devin?
I'm excited for week 2 of football season because week 2 means that everything else is started and we can just go. The boat has set sail. We're on our voyage.
How do you feel?
I'm excited for week 1.
Yeah, Devin is 1 week. He's just giving the field week 1.
I just want to hibernate until week 2, and then we'll be all right.
Listen. I've got one thing on my resume. Well, 2 things on my DFS resume that I haven't been able to accomplish, and I say this every year, which sucks. I'm tired of saying it. I'd love to avoid saying this next year. I want to win a live final, which means I have to play more DFS. So winning the live final isn't as important as winning the Mlb. And I'd love to just bank a week 1 Mlb and be able to decide week 1, am I going to continue playing NFL DFS for the rest of the season? Bank a week 1 and go, all right, am I going to stay invested in DFS the rest of the season? The answer is yes, because then you got to try to bank a week 2.
Yeah, it's daily fantasy sports. We care about today and today only. Congratulations, you won $1 million yesterday. What'd you do today? Right? It's a clean slate. $1 million. Yeah. Good for you. How many American dollars did you win today?
Exactly.
All right. Do hit that. What is it? Just click on the enter button. There's a bot. It says 1 week of combo RG premium. I even dropped the link in the YouTube chat. I presume that link works. If you connect and you don't need a premium account, just any RG account works. Link it to the Discord. There are some free channels, of course, in the Discord. There are some premium channels. Chief, you got your own. Tell the people, since we got their attention, you have your own free channel. You're a man of the people in the Discord. What channel is that?
Yeah, man, that's Chief's Prop Shop. I think most people or a lot of people know about it by now. Really good place. A lot of good free content, posted cards, trying to help people make some money along the way. And hopefully we've done a good job of making it a place to have negativity in there. There will be some tilting, but we try to keep it on the rails and not off the rails. So appreciate everybody that comes in the prop shop. Football's coming up. If you love kickers, if you love tackles, if you love alternate NFL lines, you're going to love the prop shop because, man, kickers and tackles are a money maker extraordinaire for us during the season, especially on Prize Picks there, which underdog, thrive, monkey knife fight. We're going to have it all. So don't worry. We're going to get cranked up here real soon. And also, Dean, the prop shop will have its own this year on Tuesday nights.
What's going on?
We're going to have our own show this year on Tuesday nights to try and attack some of these early lines for NFL. And especially once we get, I would say, when we get about 4 to 5 weeks in, we're going to really start cutting some butt here. Because now we're starting to get some data. We're starting to figure out who's actually bad, who's actually middle of the road, who might be good, who's going to air it out a little bit more. You know, different things like that. So certain teams haven't changed coaches, but they've changed some personnel. Like, are the Raiders going to actually be better with Devontae? We don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you've got to figure out some of those things.
They're in a tough division.
What's that?
They're in a tough division.
Yeah. So see, the Denver Broncos should definitely be better with Russell Wilson. Like, the wide receivers should, in a sense, receive a bump because I'm expecting Russell Wilson to actually have some form of a nuke passing yard season now that he's not with Pete Carroll. So for all of you seasoned folks, I might Prize Picks ran a special for like their season long lines. That is one that I like, and it's I like it because I think he's going to have a lot more passing yards this year than we've seen in the past because he's detached from Pete Carroll and because this is a little bit of intuition. I think he wants to show people that he can be an elite quarterback yet again outside of Pete Carroll and his debacles with the running game. All right, I am done. Dean,
hey, who are you doing that show with on Tuesday?
That's going to be Britt Devine. Britt, my prop buddy. Yeah, Chief and BD, Britt Devine in the building. And
you guys are secret friends? I wasn't aware of this.
It's going to be
Nobody
fun.
told me.
Yeah, me and Britt are going to be cutting some butt. Listen, Russell Wilson's at 4,100 and a half passing yards on Prize Picks right now. I gotta think Russ pushes about 4,500 this season.
I hate tying my money up for 4 months, but I hear what you're saying. As a general thought, I don't want to tie money. But
Tim, let me get your perspective on that real quick. Like, I think Russell Wilson's going to push the ball down the field a little bit more. He's got, I don't want to say better, he's got more weapons. Let me put it that way. What are your thoughts? I think at 4,100 and a half, he's a little bit too low. I think if he came in at maybe 4,250, I would have been like, but I think at 4,100 and a half, I mean, I'm expecting Russ to have a couple 300-yard passing games this season, easy. What are your thoughts?
Are you worried about his longevity though? Will, that's like the only thing. Like, do you think at his age that he's going to be able to play every single game? That's just me playing devil's advocate. Like, I completely agree with you that he's got more weapons. He's away from Pete Carroll. Those are all good things, but I'm kind of worried about just he could be injury prone. That's all. Like, I think he's getting kind of up there in years, so I'm just kind of that's the only thing that would concern me. But I haven't looked at anything from like the math point of view of this wager.
I was told that his upside is unlimited. That's what I was told. Directly from the source.
Well, listen. Of course it's not unlimited, Dean. But
well, he's Mr. Yeah, go ahead.
But I'm just saying, I think it's going to be a different style of play. And I think he's going to be able to push the ball down the field with more of his intermediate to deep ball, a little bit. And I don't think they're going to run the ball. And I know who's there. I know Javonte Williams is there. I know they got Melvin Gordon, and I get it. But you can't tell me week one they're not going to let Russ try to push this thing for 400 yards. Like I think
they play Seattle week one. I think it's a first.
That's what I'm saying.
Blood revenge game right out the gate.
Like, come on, man. We got to let Russ cook here week one. We got to let him cook. And our illustrious producer, Devin, is just stat building, just showing off the beauty of lineup HQ while we take this thing off the rails yet again. Thanks a bunch, Devin. And thank you all for allowing me to indulge you talking props yet again. It's a big part of my life. Love DFS. And I hope I can kick some of your butts the first week of NFL and take down a Millie. You can congratulate me. You can give me all the accolades, and I will get out of your way for the rest of the season. Let's make that deal today.
You're gonna just mail it in?
Listen, man, you got to remember, I'm a financial advisor by profession prior to my DFS career. The money comes rolling in. Hey, it's getting put away immediately.
All right, well, let's talk about stacks tonight. We got plenty of time again. We got DerekCarty, we got Dave Potts coming in like 25, 30 minutes or so for crunch time. Plenty of time to knock out our favorite stacks. We'll go around the horn, give our favorite plays position by position as well. Whatever's on chat's mind, by all means, fire it out there. If we didn't talk about somebody, what about this guy? Why'd you miss that guy? I'll do my best to keep an eye on chats. We'll hit up those questions as well, especially if they're pertinent to the conversation. Tim, I'll throw it to you. And but Dallas Keuchel's the worst pitcher in the slate, right? I think we can say that pretty freely in the year 2022. Keuchel probably shouldn't be throwing baseballs professionally at this point. Weird, goofy baseball stuff can happen. And, of course, Boston has been a massively disappointing team on the season. And also, it's not the greatest weather in Boston as well, too. I believe, is that the only total above 5 as of right now? I'm giving a refresh. I'm kind of jumping around. No Houston lineup just yet, by the way. I saw somebody in chat asking about that. Probably waiting on Alvarez and his hand. Jordan's been held out and it's also left on left versus Detmers. Is that the biggest total? It is the biggest total, right, Tim, as far as Boston?
It is the biggest, and I think the Cardinals are pushing close to 5.
Hovering, yeah. 4.97
okay.
if you want to round up.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, it's the Red Sox. They are such scary chalk tonight. They're going to be really, really high owned. I completely understand if you want to play them. I can't say, I don't have a crystal ball if they're going to be good chalk or not, but they're going to be really high owned. And this is a big, it's a 12-game slate. So I don't know. It's tough. They aren't the same team. But like you said, Keuchel is just awful. So
horrendous.
Yeah, he is. He really is horrendous. So I completely understand. If you want to play them, just understand that you are going to be chalk. That's going to be the chalk stack. So you might want to just try to get some leverage and be different somewhere else if you're going to eat that Red Sox chalk.
My favorite, I don't know if I want to say off the board, whatever, is probably the Mets. Again, bad ballpark, and I guess it's not the greatest hitting, but I think the Mets is kind of one of the mines off the board. And I like Seattle earlier, but with the scratch of Plesac, they're bringing up this guy that's, who knows what you're going to get. I think it's his MLB debut. He's not ranked high in the prospects for what it's worth, but he did have a lot of Ks in the minors. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you what I think the Cleveland pitcher is going to do because I have no clue. This Cody Morris character, they threw Plesac on the IL. I think he only went 3 or 4 innings his last start in the minor leagues, so who knows how deep he's going to go anyway. But Seattle was one of my favorite teams off the board as well. We're seeing Minnesota getting some love. As a general thought, whoever, if there is a chalk, and I'm not sure if there is going to be, but Tim, if there is one, it's probably not the best chalk. It's not amazing. I
have some severe reservations about the Red Sox tonight. They're not a great team. So, yes, there's some pieces. Yes, you can, what I would recommend really, if I was building 150, take a stand, either get way overweight them or go way underweight them. I
Who
mean,
would you take a stand? Oh, you're saying a stand specifically on Boston?
Yeah. Like, just try to really just like go one way or the other with them. Hope that it's bad Keuchel and they go completely insane, or hope that somehow the Babbitt goes Keuchel's way and the Red Sox only score 4 runs and hit no home runs. So that's my best recommendation.
I only made lineups on Fanduel, but I ended up getting a fair bit of Minnesota and a fair bit of the Mets. I got some Boston as well too. I'm just like, okay, it's like, okay, you don't want to play Boston, you don't want to embrace that chalk, but like you have to play somebody else. You can't just say Boston chalk is bad and that's it. And that's you submit your lineup. You got to submit other players and other teams. Nothing else is spectacular though. Again, at least in my estimation. You tell me I'm wrong. Where are you looking outside of Boston?
I completely agree with you that there's nothing spectacular. One thing that is Roth coming on next?
Yeah, Roth will be on. What do we have going on as far as
Well, just because that whole Citi Field situation and that negative weather edge report that was earlier, I'm wondering if the weather's going to change throughout the night. Like if it's going to be one of those situations where the wind is as it is now, but then shifts at some point.
So not to cut you off, but he updated the article. That game does not exist in the article. He just says Miami, Atlanta, yellow, green, but potentially more importantly, orange, yellow in St. Louis. Yeah. So I just dropped that in chat as well. When the first color is the dominant color, orange is scarier than yellow. So potentially dicey. I don't know if you want to consider rostering Montgomery as far as pitchers, but I'm sure, of course, Roth is going to give some clarity on that, and he'll give you an update in about 20, 25 minutes or so. As far as the Mets situation you're referring to, either it's gone or you're just saying like the weather's not great as far as hitting.
I'm talking about the weather's not great in terms of hitting.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because Weather Edge was saying that it was a pretty bad night for hitting. But I'm wondering if the wind is going to change throughout the night. So
we got a crosswind, 6 mile per hour crosswind going from first to third, 120 game sample. A downgrade of 8.6% in homers and 7.2% as far as runs, and the baseline is not good as that ballpark as is.
Right.
Yeah.
And we want to pick on Josiah Gray for home runs, so I think that's important. And also with the St. Louis game, the Cardinals bats are going to be pretty popular tonight. They're super cheap. They're going against Adrian Sampson, so you're definitely going to want to pay attention to that weather report and make sure that bats are safe. Pitching in that game, I don't really care about. Of course, but the Cardinals bats are an important stack tonight for offense.
Josiah Gray in the season, 2.37 homers for 9, 2.34. I said 7, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's a lot. He gives a lot of homers. Perspective-wise, like Keuchel's at 1.77, the second worst in the slate. Gray just gives up a ton of homers, a ton of fly balls, almost 51% fly balls. The homer and the fly ball is not crazy at 19%. Of course, his ballpark yields more, and it's a ballpark bump from a pitching perspective, jumping in New York. But, still, he gives up a lot of fly balls, and the Mets can hit some homers. Will, jump in here. Your thoughts as far as Boston, as far as if you're going to take a stand one way or the other there, or just stacks in general you like tonight?
Definitely like Boston. Listen, anytime we can get Dallas Keuchel on the mound and we can attack him, I'm in. So definitely like them. I think they're one of the top stacks tonight, even with the weather. I think they've got a shot at a big night. Outside of that, and I agree with Tim here, the Mets probably would have been the team had it not been for the weather. Because, they've been giving everybody problems mostly. So I do still like them, but I definitely think I want to temper my expectations. Sneaky stack, Baltimore is definitely my sneaky stack of the night. Seattle, they should be fine out there in Cleveland.
By the way, no Trey Turner tonight for the Dodgers.
I feel like the Brewers should get to Zach Davies. They should. It's just which Brewers team is going to show up tonight. That's really what it boils down to. Is this the team that's going to come out and pound him, or is this the team that's just going to sit here and strike out at every sinker that he throws. I don't know which one's going to show up, which is why, they're a great tournament play. But I do think they're at the top of my list. I would say the Brewers are top 3 for me on tonight's slate, facing Zach Davies in Arizona. Absolutely like them a ton.
I love the Brewers tonight. I really do. They have one of the best leverage scores in our slate IQ tonight, and obviously, I think they're going to be without Yelich, but I still think you can get to Adames, Renfroe, even McCutchen, Taylor. I think that I love this team. Telez,
and they're super cheap on FanDuel, like very.
Yeah, they're so playable. Davies has a home run problem. I mean, I love them, and I think they're going to be a forgotten team tonight.
Yeah, they said Yelich, he left the game early last night, probably avoids the IL, but the way it was phrased, I assume that means he's not playing today. Maybe he's out for a few days, but likely not starting tonight. By Sunny in chat says Willie Adames birthday game, if that matters. There you go. I like the Minnesota team. Of course, I wish that Polanco was in there and Buxton was in there, but I still like some of the pieces, and they're pretty cheap. I know Joe Kelly is the opener. Can't imagine he goes beyond like an inning or so, but this Davis Martin character is not particularly good. He's been reverse splitsy, so I like Miranda and Correa a good bit, but yeah, I mean, probably one at bat.
I like Nick Gordon quite a bit too. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, he's cheap. He's pretty cheap. Gordon as well. We have seen him get pinch hit before, which is kind of annoying, but I don't think that's like an automatic. And even Sanchez, when you get the catchers, I think he's going to avoid Joe Kelly. He'll get his first at bat versus Davis Martin. Josh saying the Twins are not sneaky today. Like, I don't know if sneaky is the right word. They're not going to be that heavily owned, I don't think, on a 23-game slate. Alan saying Martin was scratched. My understanding is that Kelly's opening and Martin's going to come behind him. And that's the way I see it. And I think that's what we have it on the RG page.
I believe you're correct. That's what I think too.
Yeah, he's just not starting the game, but I believe he's going to be the first person in. And Joe Kelly, to my understanding, he's a one-inning guy, right? I think he pitches one inning.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be anything more than a full inning.
All right, let's go around the horn and give our favorite plays position by position. Do hit that like button kindly. Subscribe, hit those notifications, turn all the buttons on. Yeah, Josh is saying 4th in ownership, but like, is that a lot? I'm not looking at it. I'm sure you're looking at it right now, Tim. What are we looking at as far as Minnesota? Yes, Joe Kelly, most famous for that cry face, whatever he did with his lips. Yeah, I think it's immortalized somewhere in LA. Like somebody put that on a wall. But go ahead.
Minnesota's going to be like number 4, but they're not going to be like out of control owned. I think the team that is going to get really inflated is Boston.
Yeah,
that's the only team that I'm worried about ownership with. I'm not saying it's bad to play them, but I think they're going to get really inflated.
I just hesitate to endorse anybody. And that's the thing is like, I don't love Minnesota, but like, again, I don't love anybody. And every slate is different. I don't think there's any team where you can't realistically say like, oh, this team's in an incredible spot and people aren't, that doesn't exist. Like baseball stuff happens and almost definitely some team's going to score 12 runs tonight. What team is that going to be? I don't know. Some have more likely chance to do so than others. Where are the Mets at in that, by the way, is as far as the ownership rankings? I feel like it wasn't that hard for me to get a pitcher I like, i.e. Morton or Alcantara, and Mets. It was very easy to make that work for me.
I don't think the Mets will be that. I think they'll probably be like 6 or 7.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go around the horn. Let's do it quickly. Let's knock out our catchers. Will, I'll let you go first as far as catcher. Anybody popping for you? Excited about any catchers tonight?
Well, can I backtrack like super quick?
Go for it.
I must say, Tim, I think you've talked me into a whole lot more Sandy on FanDuel for what it's worth, especially after we have had our Milwaukee discussion. Like Sandy in Milwaukee that's straight up I don't even have to do anything else. I could play every other chalk play. And that's not a combination we're going to see. Like, I just want to call that out, my man. I think you may have just talked me into it. I think that's going to be a good combo. Sandy and Milwaukee.
That's the type of lineup that you can eat some Boston chalk with too. Because you're getting leverage in other places. So I
good industry terms.
Yeah, thank you, brother. I mean, not that I know it was just kind of percolating in my head. Like we talked about Sandy, and I already think Sandy's going 7 innings anyway. So if he's going 7, his chances to pick up an extra strikeout. Oh man, this is exciting. I can't wait to put that together. Catcher D, you mentioned catcher. Yeah, Salvador Perez at 5K. Facing Hutchinson. Definitely think he's in play. Cal Raleigh, he's in play. Mr. Kelly, even against Lauer, think he's in play as well. And believe it or not, I don't mind Eric Haas. I know Lynch should be okay, but Detroit doesn't strike out as much against lefties overall. So I don't mind Haas on the bottom end of this thing here. So yeah, those are a couple plays that I like.
Don't need to spend much time here, Tim, but what do you have as far as catcher? I mentioned I like Sanchez as like my cheap guy with power upside. Who do you like?
MJ Melendez is my favorite on both sites, and I think that you can play a catcher on FanDuel tonight, and I think it should be MJ Melendez if you like to go that route.
What about first? And I know you guys kind of talked first base specifically. Rowdy Tellez is 2.8 over there, I believe. He's got the platoon split in his favor as well. Downgrade as far as the ballpark there in Arizona, but can't get everything beggars and choosers. I like Miranda, who's also first base eligible on FanDuel. I believe you can play him at third as well. He's pretty cheap. I talked about liking him, and I think you kind of want, who knows how it's going to turn out, but you kind of want a 1-2-3 inning in the first. So maybe his first at bat is versus Martin and not Kelly. I prefer the matchup versus Martin, but you never really know how these things work out, obviously. How about first? What do you got, Tim?
Yeah, so I think Rowdy Tellez is my favorite play on both sites. Where is Prado not in the lineup?
You're talking about Kansas City?
Yeah.
Let's see.
What am I missing here?
He's batting fourth.
And he's first base eligible still, right?
He's a first baseman on both DK and on FanDuel. He's 1.26 on FanDuel. He's 2K, straight 2K.
Yeah, so he like if I go to like Morton Alcantara on DK, which I'm considering doing, then I would punt first base with him because I really like this Royals team tonight. We didn't touch on them enough during our stacks. Drew Hutchinson this season has like a 7% home run to fly ball ratio. His career rate is close to 12%. I know that the Royals aren't great, but guys like Melendez, Prado, and Witt, I love tonight. So I would definitely think that you can punt that position.
I wish I had the money for 6.5 Goldie on DK. I don't think I do. That's an egregious price. I know Sampson's kind of reverse splitsy, but I can't imagine getting there. I understand why you would throw him in the pool if you're running a bunch of tournaments. Will, first, what do you have?
Oh, let me get back to DK. I'm seriously in lineup construction mode here. But yeah, I'm with you. If you can get Goldie and the weather's good, absolutely. I don't mind Goldie. I don't hate Arias, in this spot against Kelly at 4K, 4,400. Rowdy Tellez at 41, obviously. I don't hate Mountcastle at 3,800 either against Sears. Like, Sears isn't someone I'm afraid of in any stretch of the imagination.
He had awesome minor league numbers. His Ks were great in the minors, and they've yet to translate. We haven't seen it. Who knows what he's going to be when he's not a complete project just yet, but he's not quite there. Kind of figuring things out there for Oakland. Second base, I'm looking at our consensus rankings, and all of us put Trevor Story second. Platoon advantage in Boston against Dallas Keuchel. We've talked about that to death, about picking on Keuchel. Other options, you can spend up on Altuve. We haven't got a Houston lineup just yet. I presume that's because they're waiting on Yordan Alvarez, but I'm guessing that Altuve will crack it. You mentioned Gordon. Gordon, that's a DK specific. I believe he's shortstop and somewhere else on FanDuel, but Gordon is a cheapie there in Minnesota, Tim. Your thoughts as far as second. You also get Kike Enrique Hernandez, kind of buried in the lineup, but historically a quote-unquote lefty masher and also facing Dallas Keuchel.
Yeah, that's a good call on Kike. Max Muncy is back to being free on FanDuel, and I think that he makes an exceptional play. Colton Wong is projected to bat leadoff for the Brewers tonight, assuming Yelich is out. Even if Yelich plays and Wong's batting fifth, I think he can be part of your Brewers stacks. I'm trying to think. Luis Arias, I think, is much better played not at first base, and on FanDuel, he's got try eligibility. So
Do you,
I think,
not to cut you off, but when you play a Rise, do you play him only in a stack?
yeah.
He
I
seems like a
would.
terrible one-off, right?
Yes, definitely, because he has absolutely like no power. So, but it's just, it's so nice to have that try flexibility. So,
Yeah.
Javier Baez is super cheap on FanDuel. I'm trying to think like where else I would get different, like on DK. Like FanDuel is just like loaded with these cheap plays, but
I think you would get different with Nick Gordon.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's different or not, but that's like as far as like shuffling it up, you can just like save some salary. We know second base has been bad for a while. It's a little bit better, I think, with Story today. Massey's another guy you can punt with.
Yeah, you could go Massey too.
By the way, your boy Broccoli Boy in chat saying apparently the bat hates Story and I guess Boston overall. We'll have Carty on in about 10 minutes. I'm curious what his thoughts on. He'll certainly give them.
It's because Keuchel has such a massive sample size. So projections like the bat are gonna historically like Keuchel.
Interesting.
That's
he's like 90 now.
That I know, but that's my assumption anyway. But the bat still has the Red Sox. I think is like the fifth best stack tonight. So
yeah,
I don't think that the bat hates them as like a stack.
But relative to ownership, I guess, like they might hate them. If that's what's happening. I'm
yeah, that's true too.
We got to pick up the pace a little bit here. Crunch Time Crew will be here in like 5-10 minutes or something like that. What do you got here, Will, as far as second? What would you like to add?
I don't think I want to add anything crazy. I mean, Trevor Story in the 6 holes probably. I mean, he's like elite against Keuchel tonight, in my opinion. Like Keuchel's just bad. So he kind of grades out for me personally as kind of a really top play, even against the weather. And I'm just going to leave it at that. You want to go to third?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so third base, I mean, we got a lot of Jose Ramirez against Castillo. He's probably going to have slightly lower ownership tonight, and I think he should. Machado's probably going to have slightly lower ownership. Devers, I think, is sneaky here, lefty. At 5,800 on DK, probably won't see a lot of ownership as well, or will see some ownership because of spot. Excuse me. But even in lefty, I definitely think this is a good spot for him. You've got Eduardo Escobar down here at the bottom against Josiah Gray, 3,700. If you've got a Met stack, like I really don't hate that because of the price. I'm going to leave it at that.
All right. What would you like to add to that, Tim? But Devers was in an 0-for-24 slump last night. If you believe in the hot streaks and cold streaks and all that kind of stuff, and I don't know.
Well,
you can believe in it. You never know when they're going to start and stop.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. I do think there's validity, and I do believe in them. Guys get, quote unquote, hot and cold, or they're seeing the ball better, or they're going through just not clicking for them mechanically. But you don't know the day they're going to hit a home run and then suddenly they're back on track. So I tell you, just if they're in a good spot, you have to take them. Like you take them in a good spot, you let it ride.
So is he hot now? He's 2 for his last 2. Now is he hot? I don't know. If he could go 6 for his next 15, and I guess that's the start of the hot streak. Who knows? But
Alvarez is in the lineup, by the way.
Oh, okay, good. Is it standard as far as Houston? Everybody else good to go?
It seems pretty standard. Maldonado's catching.
Pena batting second. Hey, you know what? I've been complaining enough. Dusty Baker. Shout out Dusty Baker. Watching the show, of course, before he makes the lineup. I've been yelling about Gurriel enough. They still have Mancini hitting behind him, which is kind of egregious, but it's good to see Gurriel out of the 2-hole batting 5th. Wait, is that bad math? That is bad math. He's batting 6th. Altuve, Pena, Alvarez, Bregman, Tucker, Gurriel, Mancini, McCormick, and then Maldonado. Tim, what do you want to add as far as third base?
But I'm going to be playing Bobby Witt tonight, either at third base or shortstop. I'm not sure exactly which. So I really like the Royals tonight. I like them because they're so easy to stack. They've got super cheap guys and then some more expensive, plays. So Bobby Witt's going to be in my lineup on both sides tonight.
That's your favorite shortstop, I hear you. He's also pretty popular in our rankings as well. Give me the pivots away from Witt. What do you think, Will, as far as shortstop?
I definitely think Xander's going to be up there. Like he's got to be up there against Keuchel tonight. So he's one of the top plays in the slate for me. I still like Corey Seager against Pavetta, even though the rest of this lineup is terrible. Like Corey Seager can absolutely hit 2 home runs off of him and just crush his heart and soul, and Pavetta could still mow down the rest of the lineup. And as much as I like Lynch, Javi Baez at 4,100, I still like him as well. Interesting enough, I almost feel like this is a spot where I could play Baez against Lynch in the same lineup, and it could still probably work out. So yeah, I'm going to leave it at that.
We have in the chat talking about Xander being the chalk. According to our ownership, Xander is more chalky on Fanduel at 17%, Witt at 12, Baez at 11, Correa at 10. I like all those guys to various degrees. On DK, we have Xander at 14 and Witt at 14, and then Baez at 10. Again, if Lindor is going to be kind of lost in this shuffle, I like Lindor a good bit. Gray, especially to lefties, has given up a ton of homers. His ISO is enormous. So, again, that ballpark stinks. What's up?
And Adames, too. Let's not forget about him.
It's his birthday.
Yeah, well, that too.
And Jeremy Pena batting second now for Houston. You can't neglect him.
Yeah.
I wish he was.
Shortstop's pretty strong tonight. It's a pretty
agreed.
Strong. Yeah.
I think there's a big opportunity across the shortstop. Let's knock out some outfielders. Maybe we'll give some homework picks before the crunch time crew jumps in here. Will, feel free to lead off the outfielders for us, man. I'm looking at our consensus rankings and like some of the names like near the top of Max Klepper is really cheap, $1 for dollar seems like a solid play on both sites. Tommy Pham is just, it's Boston. JD Martinez, who's been kind of rough by his standards. Winker's really cheap on FanDuel. Newbar pretty cheap on DK. I assume he's leading off. I've not confirmed that. There is some weather issues that Roth will talk about in St. Louis, but yeah, a lot of the big names are kind of buried in our rankings. Of course, we factor in ownership. We factor in salary, asking price. What do you have as far as outfield, Will?
Yeah, for sure. Give me Pham. Give me JD. Give me Kiki. Love those guys. I sneakily like David Peralta from Tampa Bay at 2,400 tonight on FanDuel. I think that's just cheap. He's just a little bit too cheap, I think, against Domingo, who, while I know they're in Tampa Bay, I'm not a big believer in Domingo until I feel like he gets back right. I know he'll have some games, but I think he's still kind of coming back. Don't mind that. When you look at the White Sox, I think Gavin Sheets, and what I'm doing right now is I'm hunting for power. I think Gavin Sheets has a chance to send one out of the ballpark as well. Don't have to sell you on the St. Louis Cardinals outfield. Like you guys know to play them. A team that we didn't talk about a lot was Houston, and I think Houston could sneakily help this slate tonight. And not necessarily that they're going to score 12 runs, but I think they have pieces that could pile up points. And so, when you've got a lefty-lefty situation with Jordan, who's got tons of power, I don't think a lot of people are going to consider just playing Jordan tonight. But, this guy, he can hit 2 home runs and help you win a tournament. So I like him a lot. Chas McCormick is down there. Not as heavy on him, but I do like Jordan tonight. And then the Milwaukee outfielders, you've got Hunter Renfroe, tons of power. We've got him at 5% on FanDuel, 3,700. He's a big-time outfielder. Definitely a guy I think that you can get involved in your lineups. And even in San Francisco, and this I don't think it's controversial, but I'm not a big believer in Kyle Gibson. I don't feel like he's some elite pitcher. He can get lit up anytime. Jock Jams, Yaz, those guys have enough power. So I like Jock Jams and Yaz tonight in the outfield as well.
Tim Outfield?
Yeah, I think real quick, if you're a MME player, use it to your advantage and don't forget to have a stack of the Dodgers tonight. I think a lot of people are going to see you Darvish and be like, no, I'm not going to stack against him. The Dodgers are so good. They rate out really well. So don't forget to just have like a stack or two if you're doing like 20 or 50 lineups or something like that. I think
they're going to be mostly ignored. And no Turner again, no Trey Turner. Justin, I believe, is in there.
Yeah, but I mean, they're just such a powerful lineup. So anytime you can get them on, like in microscopic ownership, like use it to your advantage and have a stack of them. I think they make for really strong, huge tournament field type play.
The Dodgers are the best stack on the slate, and no one's going to play them, and it's stupid.
Well, it's a revenge game for you, Darvish, right?
Yeah, Dean, I keep track of those.
He's very angry about how terrible he was for the Dodgers.
Carty, are you on vacation? That's a beautiful scenery there.
Thank you. No, that's my home.
Yeah. It looks like
that's
amazing. Kingsbury's place that he drafted from.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Carty, how high do you have Leonard Fournette? I see people talking in the chat about Fournette and where is he at in the blitz. He's shockingly, I had to double check this. He's only 27 allegedly, according to the interwebs. That's what Google told me, and I banged it just in case. So Fournette's your guy? Like he's one of the flag plants this season? He's just being drafted too low?
Yeah, the blitz thinks he should be like a top half of the first round guy. He's RB4 for the blitz, and he's going in like the end of the third, end of the second, middle of the third in some leagues. Like he's just egregiously underpriced right now.
Was he drafted at like 18? Like I feel like he's been in the league forever. He must have been really young when he was drafted, I guess. I don't know. Maybe he's 20. Or maybe it's just
it just feels like he's bounced around so much, and opinion on him has swayed so much from thinking he's like the greatest thing in the world his first year with Jacksonville to, oh no, he's actually the worst running back that ever lived. And now last year he was good again, and people don't know what to make of him, and they've been burned before. And there's just like, I don't know. He just feels like old and boring and bad, and he's not.
He is, though. He is, though. He is all
He's actually not.
Roth, I saw, confirm or deny, I saw you tweeting about you're in the Scott Fish Bowl. You got an invite, and you were asking people for advice on how to set your lineup. You can't slide somebody at RG.
I didn't even know the rules when I drafted, which was a poor choice. Apparently, there's 2 quarterbacks. Tight ends get double. There's all these rules that I probably should have researched before drafting my team. So I'm in a tough spot there, but we're going to have a little miracle comeback. I feel good about it.
I think he always does something a little bit goofy as far as the rules there. And yeah, it's a super specific rule that like you probably goofed up. And thankfully it's just for charity and for funsies and not American dollars. But yeah, I mean, I wish.
Rewind this. Dean says there's a super crazy rule that you definitely goofed up. Like he's displaying this flag that you screwed this up. Absolutely.
That was a nice way of saying, like, well, I mean, that's 101, man. You know the rules before you enter a draft.
If tight ends are literally scoring double points, you should probably know that before you draft. That's just in general a good rule.
There you go. It's a Friday night, Roth. Strange things are afoot at the Circle K. We got some weather issues there in St. Louis. You got anything else, for the boys here, Tim or Will, or shall we yield to Roth? I don't know what's going on in St. Louis anywhere else that some potential weather is lurking.
I think I'm good.
Will, you good?
I'm good. We're going to get these boys here. See you guys at the RG party later next year. I hope.
This is the time to say that.
Hey, listen, we just got to put it out there in the interwebs right now and just speak this thing into existence.
All righty, Roth, we're going to yield. Stay tuned with the Fanduel sponsor, Crunch Time. Oh, what's up?
Dean, thank you for chiming in on the Circle K. I appreciate it. Glad
that was just for you.
Someone's still paying attention.
That was just to make sure you were on top of it. And, just let you know, I still, we're 5 months in or 6 months in. I'm sure you're not counting, but I still read the musings, and they're still just as good as they are month number one. You're not mailing it in. I appreciate that.
The subtle Bill and Ted's reference is always important.
There you go. Did you watch the second and third one?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you enjoyed them thoroughly?
Yeah, I mean, it may have gone downhill a little, and from not an extremely high hill to begin with, but I enjoyed all of them.
Dean, how did you like Casino Royale?
Oh yeah, it was fine. It was good. I liked it. I'll give a more thorough. The people want to hear about weather and whatever. I forgot to mention it. I haven't been on Twitter today, basically, but yeah, it was good. I liked it. I liked it enough where I'm going to keep watching. And they kind of left it at a point where, and Roth, you were telling me about I think you were saying basically watch the Casino Royale and then keep going with the Daniel Craig ones. I got different advice from different people.
I think you should check out GoldenEye and get a little, Pierce Brosnan action, but you definitely have to see Skyfall. That was really good. Literally do not see Quantum of Solace, even if someone has a gun to your head. Just
that's what I was saying. It's the second one. Like you should watch it for continuity, but it's not good.
Don't even do it. Because you'll quit watching the rest of them if you watch Quantum of Solace. You'll just quit.
Fair enough. I don't want it to fully chase me away, but at the same time, like I like the idea of powering through. But 27 movies? It's a lot of movies. I don't know if I'm gonna. It's a big undertaking. We'll definitely jump around and we'll see. We'll hit like one of the Brosnan ones, one of the Brosnan. Yeah, that's how you Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah, that's right.
Brosnan? Did I say it right? Yeah. And then Dr. No, I'm told, is like the best Sean Connery one allegedly. Hey, you know what? The people want to hear baseball. They want to hear weather. So the Fanduel sponsor, Crunch Time, Chief Meteorologist, Kevin Roth, take it over. We're out of here. I'm out of here at least.
Starts right now. Appreciate it, Dino. As always, welcome to it. This is indeed Crunch Time. And yes, as Dino mentioned, it is sponsored by Fanduel. Go ahead and give a like. This is free content, and it is your likes that fuel the free content. If we run out of likes, we're going to run out of free content. So make sure you're hitting that like button. Smash that like and subscribe button, as the kids say. Joined by a couple of the sharpest minds in the biz, best friends and mortal enemies all in one. It is Dave Potts, a.k.a. Cheeseisgood. What up, Cheese?
Howdy, sir. Yeah, I don't know what's up. This is a really bizarre slate. Like it's all kind of smushed together, and that's fine because everyone's playing the same slate. It's very strange, and I still don't know what to do with it.
Okay, fair enough. We will get your in-depth thoughts here on that in just a bit. We also have DerekCarty. He is the viceroy of the Bat and the BatX Enterprises. What's happening, Carty?
A viceroy. That's a new one.
Yeah, I had to Google it as I was saying it. It is a ruler exercising authority in a colony on behalf of a sovereign.
That sounds right. That's what he does there.
Seems high up, so I think it's fine. How you feeling about this slate?
Yeah, I mean, I feel pretty good about it. I don't think there's going to be anything on the hitting side that's like overwhelmingly popular, but like the best stuff is not going to be owned the way it should be. So I feel pretty good about this slate.
Okay. Hey, we got to talk some weather, and I want to start talking last night. If you saw my tweet, you already know that was last night, right? Spencer Strider had like 16 Ks. Yep. That game was this close to him getting yanked in the 4th or 5th inning. I mean, this close to like a 2-hour rain delay. But I'm running pure, baby. You can't stop me. The little pop-up was just outside the ballpark and cleared away. It just went from like, my night is going to be the worst night ever to, it's fine. Nobody cares. It's all good.
Well, it's Atlanta chalk pitcher again tonight.
Okay. We're doing the same thing. We're playing the exact same song and dance we did in Atlanta last night. Only I think the delay chances are even lower in Atlanta tonight. I had it as yellow yesterday. I've got it as yellow-green today. And Atlanta, do what you want. Play the chalk pitcher. Yes, there is a chance that a pop-up gets you. But yesterday, models were consistently saying there's going to be a pop-up around Atlanta. There's going to be one around Atlanta. And they're not really saying that today. I don't trust the location of those so greatly, but bottom line is stick with whatever you got. I think of greater interest is St. Louis. So, Cheese, tell me what we want in St. Louis, then I'll go into a weather.
Very popular for the Bats and kind of a secondary, further down the list, tournament pitcher.
All right. It's going to rain in St. Louis. In fact, it's probably going to rain the entire game, but it's going to be really light rain at first and then kind of light to moderate rain late. I think they're just going to play in the rain. I feel like that's what they're going to do here. But if we see a tarp pregame, we got to bail because it's going to rain till 11 or midnight or something. So if they have that tarp out pregame, that game's getting postponed 100%. They're not late starting it and playing it. So for now, I think we can go with the assumption that they're just going to play. I don't think it's likely that we see an in-game delay. There's a low chance that they start playing and then decide the rain's too heavy and quit. But they already know what they're getting into if they play. So I don't think that's too likely either. I think they're just going to play a crappy, wet, ugly game and deal with it. But if there's that tarp on, that game's getting postponed. So.
And what's good, there's 4 games after that, all 4 of which have high upside offense at similar-ish prices for the most part. So I think you can just kind of wait that out.
Great. So let's do that. Let's stick with it.
Going to be way over-owned tonight. Like you don't even want them anyway. So
there you go. Okay, wonderful. Well, stick with it if you do want it, and you can pivot off if either the weather scares you with the tarp or if Carty scares you with his BatX projections, which we will get to here in just a bit. That's my weather spiel. Cheese, you want to give us a little pitcher spiel?
Yeah, so it gets weird right away in that basically all of the the better pitchers are facing better offenses. The one guy who kind of stands out on his own is Charlie Morton, like very clear best pitcher, not the most expensive pitcher, but he's as good as anyone, and the matchup is way better. Like, I think he is definitely good chalk. The big question is David Peterson. Like, David Peterson is weird chalk. That's different than bad chalk. It's weird chalk. Like, he's not as good as several of the pitchers below him who cost more and are projected and going to be owned less than him. And I was really hoping this would be one where projections didn't like him. I didn't think that was going to be the case, but I was hoping. And I can't really get behind playing a 40% owned David Peterson heavily in tournaments on DraftKings. But I don't disagree that like he's clearly the SP2 and like a very easy cash game play on DK. I just like paying up to be different with higher upside, even though it's not really as good of a play. Like, so essentially what I'm saying is I don't disagree. And I mean, I have him tagged as the conviction play. I have him ranked as the SP2. He is the SP2, but it's super weird chalk. And so I'm officially under the field on him if we're assuming something around 40% ownership.
Okay.
My first preference is to pay up to either Alcantara or Louis Castillo, because there's a lot of ways to have salary. Like, salary is barely a thing.
And you're still talking SP2 right now, correct?
SP2, yeah. Well, let me just say on FanDuel, just play Charlie Morton. Like, you can play Peterson because he's 8K, but you that salary is not that useful. I think you should play Morton on FanDuel personally. I would not argue with you for Peterson or going up to Alcantara, but that's my whole pool there. Honestly,
I was kind of hoping you'd argue with me for it. I know the people want that, but whatever.
It's what it is, you know.
Yeah.
And I'll also throw Jeffrey Springs on FanDuel because he's like the only guy, unless you want to try Daniel Lynch. Those are the only two guys like 7,500 or below. You don't need that salary. So this is a DK thing. And then, so basically up to Alcantara or Castillo, or down a little bit to Pavetta, Springs, Kramer, and Herman. That's what my pool looks like.
Okay. Carty, what are you doing here pitcher-wise? You're on board with the Morton train.
Yeah, I mean, very similar. Like, Morton's the top guy. I do think on FanDuel you can play Peterson, especially in cash, but certainly in GPPs where he's going to be a little bit lower owned. Like, if David Peterson pitched for a different team and, like, I don't know, wasn't overshadowed by DeGrom and Scherzer and Bassett, and, you know, had to make starts in the minors and out of the bullpen because they have so much pitching depth. And, like, if he just like pitched for a team like all year, was like their number 2 starter, people would have a much different opinion of him than what they do, because David Peterson is a very good pitcher. Nobody thinks of him that way, but he is. And the matchup is amazing. He's against the Washington Nationals. They're terrible. They take a big part downgrade. It's some of the better pitching weather of the night. I'm a big Peterson guy in general and tonight, so I have no problem playing him over Morton. Morton's great too, though. The matchup's great for him. He's great, like, whatever. I do think some of the more expensive stuff today on the hitting side is really appealing. So I know Cheese said salary is not really a thing, and like, yeah, it's not really a thing, but there is expensive stuff that is.
It is really for that good. Dodgers stack, yeah.
Yeah, Dodgers Padres is what I'm talking about specifically. They're expensive, but they're really good, and they're going to be really under-owned. And so you can play some of these weirder, cheaper pitchers to free up salary to like get the best guys from that game. And I really like that approach tonight. So like Cheese mentioned a lot of them. Like Daniel Lynch is probably the best one. He saves you a lot of money. But like Alex Cobb, Jeffrey Springs, Pavetta, like I think all those guys, Dean Kramer, I think they're all very much in play tonight. Lynch in particular is the top point per dollar guy on the slate and projects for 5% ownership. So I like Lynch a lot.
Okay. We should mention the name Cody Morris, this Cleveland guy who got called up to start after Plesac got scratched. He's 4K. You really don't need a 4K pitcher on DK. And he's probably like a 2 or 3 inning guy is the big thing. Like he struck out a crazy ton of batters in the minors, but shoulder injury, 2 or 3 innings at a time, like you just don't need it. Just be aware, like that's a name to keep an eye on more for the future.
Carty, no interest there. I know that you like getting the 4K guy, especially if he can get some Ks, but just not the upside with innings.
Yeah, I don't think you need to do that. Like he's okay if you want to. I'd rather just spend a little more on like Lynch or whoever. But yeah, if there's a build that you know, a 4K pitcher really makes it work, like he's fine.
Okay. All right. Guys, let's talk about some of the bats. Let's talk about some of the stacks. Carty, you said St. Louis is over-owned. Are they the chalk, or are they bad chalk in your mind?
I don't think anyone's going to be overwhelming chalk today, but the Red Sox and the Cardinals do project as the highest owned, at least on DraftKings. The Cardinals will come in a little lower owned on FanDuel, it looks like. But like, I don't think either of them are like amazing by any means. I think the actual best teams today are going to be overlooked. The Dodgers are the best team today. Unfortunately, their hitters keep dropping like flies. First, no Trey Turner. Now Gavin Lux is scratched, but this is still the best offense in baseball, you know, down a couple guys. But Yu Darvish is overrated. Yu Darvish allows a lot of stolen bases. Yu Darvish is taking a pretty big park downgrade. It's some of the best hitting weather of the night. And it's the Dodgers, and they're projected for like 2% ownership, and it's stupid. So I really like the Dodgers. I really like the Padres on the other side of this game. I don't think May is overrated. I think May is actually very good, but the Padres are an elite offense, big park upgrade, good weather, low owned. I just think passing on these teams tonight is really, really silly. And I think Houston is pretty similar. Like it's another offense, getting a park upgrade, good weather, a guy that's easy to steal on. These are some of the better games tonight, and people just are going to be overlooking them.
Okay. Cheese, do you feel similarly that there's a whole bunch of good teams that people aren't playing?
Yeah, essentially, this is what makes the slate so weird. Like the better teams are facing the better pitchers, and so it kind of pushes what should be the mid tier into being the chalk. If there's chalk, it's probably Boston. And if we were just playing a pick 'em with no salary and playing against a imaginary number of points we were trying to get, I would play Boston. So I do like them the best, but nothing stands out that it deserves to be chalk, basically. And that'll be Boston. So I don't end up liking them any more than anything else. The Royals and the Twins and the Cardinals are probably the other, not chalk, but popular-ish, that I like all of them totally fine, but nothing as a standout. And I agree that, like, when I started out this morning, I didn't really like the Padres or the Dodgers or throw the Phillies in there. But the more you look at it, yeah, nobody's going to play 3 of the best offenses in the league on a slate where there's no really great top tier. So I'm on board with really all the late night games. Once you get past 9 o'clock, Houston, you throw Milwaukee in there, Padres, Dodgers, and even Phillies against a good pitcher.
Okay. Anything weird, random, cheap you want to throw in or no?
I mean, Kansas City is the weird, not that weird, random cheap thing. And then also the Mets. Josiah Gray can go a little off the rails at times.
Okay, excellent. Guys, let's go position by position, and Cheese, you can lead us off. A little catcher talk, if you don't mind.
So I don't think you have to spend at catcher. In a stack, you would want Will Smith. You would want Sal Perez in a stack, and either of those guys are great on their own. But you only have a few 5K spends. I'm not sure that I want it at catcher. I like Gary Sanchez as a cheap guy. If you need a total punt, it would be Connor Wong for Boston at 2,100. I think Eric Haas is okay. Carson Kelly is okay. But this is definitely more of a play a catcher in the stack kind of a night for me.
Okay. Carty, what do you like?
Yeah, Will Smith is the top guy. I think on FanDuel, you can even think about playing Will Smith, even though you don't have to play a catcher. He's underpriced there. And like I said, the Dodgers are in the best spot of the night, even though people don't think they are. And so, so I like Will Smith. I like Gary Sanchez at 3-1 on DraftKings for cash as a way to save money in GPPs because he's got power. And then kind of like Cheese said, like there's a bunch of guys that are just like fine, but none of them are great. So like play the guy in your stack really does make a lot of sense.
Okay, first base, Carty.
So I like Ohtani quite a bit. Like I said, I think both of these LA game environments tonight are really good and really overlooked. And Ohtani is not going to be super high owned and is one of the best hitters in baseball. And I really like Ohtani. I really like Freddie Freeman in those Dodger stacks. I like Rowdy Tellez as a one-off, in a cash game, whatever. He's a good value. Ryan Mountcastle as well at 3-8 on DraftKings with platoon advantage is a good play. Over on FanDuel, again, you can think about playing Will Smith if you want, but Rowdy Tellez is 2-8 over there. So if you're not playing Smith, I think Tellez is the way to kind of save money and be cost effective at this position.
Okay, Cheese, first base.
If you just look at the these are the bat ownership projections, you see there's just nobody projected for anything. Like it's going to get so spread out that I don't think ownership should be even a thought in your mind at first base. Just play who you like. If you have money for Freeman, that's great. I like Pete Alonso just as much as a spend up. Tellez definitely too cheap on FanDuel and pretty cheap on DK. I like Jose Miranda a lot. Christian Walker in tournaments. And then if you need something super cheap on DK, Prado.
Second.
The best play without regards to salary is Altuve. Depending on what you're doing at pitcher, and if you're not spending up on, like Dodgers and things like that, you can get Altuve. But like on FanDuel, even if you are not wanting to stack the Dodgers against Darvish, Max Muncy's back down to 2,500. So that's a good FanDuel play. On DK, where you have to spend up to him, I like Trevor Story better as the spend up. There is cheap DK chalk with both Michael Massey and Nick Gordon, and then kind of Colton Wong, which I do not like Colton Wong outside of Brewer stacks, but he's okay-ish. But if I'm just picking one guy, it would be Trevor Story.
Okay. Carty, what do you like at second?
I like Altuve quite a bit as a one-off, certainly in your Astros stacks. Like I said, Detmers is easy to steal on. Altuve is, a really good base stealer. Like she said, Muncy's way too cheap on FanDuel. He's definitely your cash guy, definitely in your stacks. I think Story's fine. I don't have a problem with Story, but I like Marcus Semien on FanDuel. I like Ketel Marte on FanDuel. I like Cronenworth a lot as a one-off and in those Padres stacks that I mentioned. And then the cheap guys that you punt with are the two that she said, Nick Gordon and Michael Massey.
Okay, take me to third.
So the top tier is kind of like Jose Ramirez, Bobby Witt. And then I guess you can maybe throw in like Machado, Bregman, Muncy. I think all those guys are good. Muncy, we already mentioned at second, really good at third also, but you probably prefer to play him at second. Machado, I like a lot in tournaments, especially in the Padres stacks, but as a one-off also, he's one of the best hitters in baseball, great environment. He projects for 2% ownership. That's just silly. So I like Machado. I like Bregman a lot in those Houston stacks that I mentioned. Justin Turner in your Dodger stacks, probably playing Muncy at second, Turner at third, I think makes a lot of sense. And Bobby Witt. Hutchison's pretty easy to steal on. It's a good stolen base spot. Hutchison's bad. So I like Bobby Witt quite a bit also.
All right, Cheese, third base.
It's similar to first, where things are going to get pretty spread out, and you're going to get some just superstar players at essentially zero ownership, just like Carty said, like Machado in particular. Nobody's going to play Machado. You don't even have to be stacking the Padres to play him. Same with Jose Ramirez. Like, you don't really want to pick on Luis Castillo, but it's an unknown Jose Ramirez, so sure. I guess I'd rather just not play guys like Devers and Arenado, who are going to be chalky at those high prices. Not chalky. Chalky is the wrong word. 2 to 3 times as owned as guys like Bregman, Machado, Ramirez.
And they don't even project as well. Like, it's silly.
It's a strange slate. That's just a thing I'm going to keep coming back to. Strange is the word of the day. Strange things are afoot.
Like, Rafael Devers is going to be the highest owned third baseman on the slate. And he's in a lefty-lefty matchup. Like, yeah, I get it's Keuchel and people think he's like the worst thing in the world, but and I think he has BVP too. Someone told me today.
Oh,
like,
baby.
He's like
All right.
6 for 7 against him.
Let
like
me hold on.
Choice.
Where's the lock button there? Lock button. That. All right, carry on.
Yeah, but yeah, that's just dumb. Like, play the better guys.
Yeah. Okay, Cheese. What is strange at the shortstop position?
It's less strange and more fantastic, as per usual. Like, shortstop is the place where it all happens. I love Bobby Witt, Carlos Correa, Corey Seager, Xander Bogaerts. Story is also there. On FanDuel, Jeremy Pena, even Javi Baez, Willie Adames, Francisco Lindor. That's a lot of names, which is to say, this is the place you don't want to goof around with some nonsense punt. I lean towards Correa, Seager, and Witt as the go-tos. But play somebody good at shortstop because they're all good.
Okay, Carty, who are you playing at short that is good?
Yeah, Correa, Witt, Seager maybe to a lesser extent, especially on FanDuel where he's quite a bit more expensive than the other two. I like Witt and Correa a lot. I do think Jeremy Pena is totally fine, though. He's hitting second. He's got the platoon advantage, good stolen base matchup, good environment, the whole thing. I've talked about it already. I like Pena quite a bit at shortstop as a way to save. I don't think he's that much worse than those top tier guys, and you do save a good amount of money on him.
Okay. I've got a hot take here. Didn't the Yankees just call up a shortstop, but he's not starting? Is that correct?
Are you saying to play him, hope he pinch hits, and
that's the hot take. I don't know what the odds on a home run are, but that dude, that guy, going yard in a pinch hit with a game-winning home run.
That is something. Most sportsbooks don't even let you bet on that, Roth.
You are talking about Peraza, I believe.
I think his name is Oswaldo again. I think they've got
it's Oswald. The first guy they called up is Oswaldo.
Okay,
this is Oswald. It's gonna get confusing.
It's gonna get tricky. It already is. Yes, Oswald going yard in a pinch hit tonight. They bring him in the 7th. All right, Carty, what do you got? Outfield.
Outfield, I guess, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so again, I like the Angels guys. I like Trout. I like Ohtani. I think they're both really good. I think the Houston guys on the other side, Alvarez, Tucker, Chas McCormick, I think they're all fine. I love my Dodgers guys, not so much in cash, but definitely in tournaments. Mookie, Gallo, and then the Padres guys on the other side. Juan Soto on FanDuel in particular is really nice tonight, but certainly in your stacks, certainly in your as a one-off, like whatever. The Twins guys like Nick Gordon and Max Kepler are both really cheap. Gordon probably better at second on DraftKings, where he's both. But Kepler on both sites is underpriced. It's a good spot against Kelly tonight. Lars Nootbaar leading off for St. Louis. Probably the only St. Louis bat that I think is like a good play tonight. Like the other guys are all.
Kevin? Who did he say?
Nootbaar.
I think the rest are all going to come in over-owned. Nootbaar may be a little over-owned, but you can definitely play him in cash. Like he's a good play. That's outfield for me.
Okay, and just to give you an update on the Devers situation, not only does he have BVP, I'm just learning in the YouTube chat, he is also on a hot streak, Carty.
Oh, man.
he's the ultimate Carty guy.
So now we understand why he's going to be the highest owned third baseman.
Yeah, he was like 0 for the last week, and then he got 2 hits last night, both doubles. That's hot, baby.
That is on a hot
That's
streak,
hot.
baby. Very predictive.
Doesn't take long.
Cheese, what do you like in the outfield here? And I did get a question about Mr. Yordong Alvarez. Jay Frey says, can I play Alvarez? Is he healthy?
You can certainly play him. I am a little nervous. I mean, he's been the power has been sapped since his hand injury, and they kept sitting him out for a little while, and he comes back. He's still Alvarez, and if he's playing, he can hit a home run. But officially, I'm moving him down below the other like 6K guys just for that.
Gotcha. Okay. Well,
I do also want to note Detmers is one of those guys. He went to the minors. He worked on things. I think he's probably better than the bat is giving him credit for. So I like Houston tonight, but I think the bat is overrating them a little bit.
Okay, good note. All right. Cheese, what do you like in the outfield?
Yeah, so I don't know if I've mentioned that this slate is weird, but like the outfield just shows the weirdness. Like all these guys who are like 6K on DK and 4K on Fanduel are like great hitters facing the best pitchers on the slate. They're not elite pitchers, but they're good. Which all that does is make them super low owned for who they are. I'm going to say I like Trout Ohtani the best. And then probably Judge, and then Betts, and then Harper Schwarber. Like all of these guys are just unowned. You know, put Juan Soto in there, put Tucker in there, like Judge. I don't know if I said Judge yet. It's strange. It's a strange slate. And then the cheap stuff is where it'll be chalky, and I like it. Like I like Kepler and Nootbaar on DK, Kepler on Fanduel, Winker on Fanduel. But I'd rather spend up to be different on these great hitters in, tough-ish, but not unbeatable matchups.
So are you trying to do like maybe 2 spend ups in the outfield and a cheapie? Is that your game plan?
Yes. And another cheapie I will, I guess is just my favorite player of all time, regardless of if he ever does anything, is Stone Garrett.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah. What a great name is that? I mean,
it's tough to beat that, honestly. There's like Quentin McCracken was up there, and he's right there. Stone Garrett. Hey, let's take some QQs. We've got doing the 7 minutes or so. So I'm going to scroll up a wee bit. Carty, starting with you. What are your thoughts on Mansion in GPPs at third? Asking for a friend, Achilles says. I think he's the friend.
Thoughts on who at third? Mansion?
Matchin?
Boy, that's a weird question. Yeah, he's hitting 5th for Oakland, and he's free.
Yeah, I'm seeing it. No, not for me.
Okay.
Honestly, if you want to play a 2K guy, he doesn't even project as the best. He projects as like the 5th best 2K guy. So, nah.
Okay. All right. Jay Sam says, Cheese, Fanduel single entry. Since our boy Rutschman is out of the lineup, is there any interest in the Orioles? All of them seem very cheap with no ownership, though I guess that's warranted, he adds.
It is. It's like Sears is going to be good. It's probably not tonight. It may not be this year, but like he's still like he's supposed to be good. And so I just looking at this lineup, it's hard to really love it.
Okay. All right. Yeisman, DK Cash, Carty, Bogarts, or Witt at short? Thank you.
Witt.
Okay. DK Cash question for you, Cheese. Nick Gordon and O'Neill or Kepler Melendez?
I would go Kepler Melendez.
Okay. I got a few weather questions, and so I'll answer this, including from my guy, Kirk. He says, hey, is the weather okay in Atlanta? And the answer is yes. There is a low chance of a delay in Atlanta. There's a few showers around. I think it is unlikely that anything pops up directly over the ballpark and causes a delay. So stick with your hitters, stick with your pitchers. 10, 15% chance, maybe even less that you get screwed. It could happen, but there are no models trying to pop anything over the ballpark. So I like our chances. In St. Louis, stick with it for now. It's raining. It's going to rain all night. It's going to rain a little harder at the end of the game than at the beginning. But it's so light. I think they're just going to get out there and play. If there's a tarp on pregame, and I'll be watching, then get out of it and pivot to one of those later games that Cheese mentioned. There's like 4 good teams you can pivot to after the St. Louis game. Back to the QQs. FanDuel GPP, Carty. This one's for you. Kepler Winker or Dickerson Donovan?
One more time for me.
It was Kepler. This is FanDuel GPP. Kepler Winker or Dickerson Donovan?
The first one.
I may have said Donaldson and screwed you up there at the end. But yeah, Donovan. So good job. Jay says, hey, aloha, Cheese. DK single entry, Houston or Minnesota stack. Thank you.
I prefer Minnesota, but I like them both.
All right. John Tom says, did you guys talk about Cody Morris at 4K? You did. You both said.
The problem is two or three innings is all he's been throwing. So there's so little upside, along with the question marks of a first start.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. FanDuel Cash Carty, this one's for you. Baez Pena or Altuve Melendez?
Altuve Melendez, but I don't love Melendez.
Okay. Dave, who is your Dave? Who the hell's Dave?
Ooh.
Cheese? Who is Dave? Cheese, who is your favorite high-end outfielder?
That would be Shohei Ohtani.
Oh, I like it. Very nice. Give me another one because Raymond says FanDuel outfield top 2, please.
Yeah, there's so many up there. I would go. I think I'm going to say Aaron Judge. Yeah, Aaron Judge. I was going to say Trout, but I'm going to go Judge.
I mean, Ohtani and Judge are 2 good choices, just in general. Carty, how come the bat opto has no Boston love despite that total in the matchup? What's up? Defend your bat, Viceroy.
Yeah, so like it's an overrated spot essentially. You know, they have the highest Vegas total, but the bat has them as the 6th highest total. The bat doesn't care about Vegas. It doesn't use Vegas. It creates its own totals, and historically, it's been more accurate. That's all it comes down to is that Boston's going to be overrated tonight because of the Vegas
Suck
total.
it, Vegas.
Exactly. I love
They're
it.
going to be overowned, so you don't need to worry about them. Like Keuchel, we don't know what he is at this point. Like he was always kind of a unicorn, and now he's like an old unicorn whose his horns are falling off. But like,
He's just a horse.
He's probably not as bad as he's been his last couple starts, and everyone thinks now he's like the worst pitcher that's ever lived, and he's probably not that bad.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's fair. I just love, by the way, that you're just
and he's very difficult to steal against. And we have quite a few pitchers on this slate that are very easy to steal against, which is also going to, kind of swing projections also.
just the gall to just be like, oh, Vegas, the thing that's been around for decades and decades and decades and determines all these lines.
Like they're fine.
I don't look at that. Yeah, that's irrelevant. Ours is the bat is better, and it's true. No argument from me. All right, let's see. DK Cash, 2 DK Cash positions. Geez, I'm coming to you back to back here. Sanchez or Kelly at catcher, and then Kepler or Nootbaar at outfield.
In cash, well, honestly, I still like Sanchez. I like Sanchez and Kepler. They're both extremely close.
Okay, great. FanDuel question for GPPs. Is Ryan McKenna an okay one-off play? 21 hundo, bat and leadoff. That sounds pretty good to me. Carty, is Mr. McKenna okay with you?
He's not on my radar at all. I'm guessing maybe first off, he's probably terrible, but I'm guessing he might have pinch hit risk. Let me look him up real quick.
Okay. Cheese, any thoughts you want to add on?
40% pinch hit risk.
Yeah, no, like he's going to, he should turn into Cedric Mullins really early.
Yeah. Those guys are never catch.
I don't know if he'll turn into him. Then
I was trying to figure out what that meant. I was like, what is that? What happened in Cedric Mullins' career? But you mean,
McKenna will come out and they will bring in the actual good baseball player.
I gotcha. Okay. That took me 3 seconds, which was 3 seconds too long. All right. FanDuel question. Oh, sorry. DK Cash, Carty, Melendez, or Murphy at catcher. We're less than a minute until lock, guys.
I prefer Gary Sanchez. I know people don't like that. It's probably it's close. Probably Murphy, but either one's okay.
Cheese, DK GPP, Stone Garrett as a cheap one-up. Is that a stone cold lock?
Yes. And now, just to be fair, I'm not just making this up because he has a cool name. Like he played 100 games at AAA. He had 28 homers and 15 steals. Last year, AA had 25 homers and 17 steals. Hits basically 280. That's minor league stuff, but there's real talent here.
Yeah, no, he seems like the stone cold nuts. Stone Garrett, lock him in. My home run pick of the day, if not Oswald getting the pinch hit homer, Stone Garrett. All right, we hit lock. We'll take a couple more questions and we'll get out of here. Sheets or Garrett as a GPP one-off on DK Carty?
That's just like so far off of anything that I'm thinking about today. Like,
Okay.
I don't really like either. I guess Sheets.
Okay, fair enough. They were
Brad
off earlier.
does not understand Stone Garrett yet, but trust me, it will soon.
Talking about Weather Edge saying City Field was a downgrade today. Wind is out to left, so why is it minus 16%? Is it the dew point or something? I got a question. Hey, Roth. Earlier, the JV squad was talking about Weather Edge saying City Field was a downgrade today. Wind out to left, so why is it minus 16? I don't know. I haven't looked at it, so let me look at it.
The bat has it as the third highest air density of the day, so that's probably part of it. And while I'm looking at it, Boston is the best pitching weather of the day, so that's also going to relate to that question about Boston, why the bat doesn't like them more. It's the best pitching weather of the day.
Okay. I also have the winds more right to left than out to left, for what it's worth, in New York. I would imagine if that was more out to left instead of right to left, then it might, it probably wouldn't be, down. Hey, that's it. I think we've done all the things that we came here to do. M Red Sox says, hey, is the heat wave out west the reason for the great projections on those late games? And is Stone Garrett a better weatherman name than Roth's? Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know.
We need Brick and Stone in the same weather line is what we need.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Carty, you want to talk about that heat wave out west?
Yeah, it's like 85 degrees in LA and it's like 65 in Boston. So it's a big difference.
The man said it. The only person who loves weather more than I do, DerekCarty. I so approve. By the way, quick shout out to your fantasy football team that was all domes in week 1?
Yeah, that was my home league team I drafted last night. That worked out pretty nicely.
That was fantastic. I was just so happy to see that and that you noticed it and that you cared. You're like, all domes week 1.
Oh, I love domes. I've been talking about domes forever. It's football
don't think
like the hidden edge that people are finally starting to get it a little bit, but not enough.
Right. It matters. Play people in domes, but it matters. It helps. Wind is not good. Sun in your eyes is not good. There's a lot of things that domes are good for. Hey, we're going to get on out of here. We have hit the lock, and we had, if I do say so myself, a damn good show. So hit that like button for us over on the YouTube. We would greatly appreciate it. For Cheese, for Carty, and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crutched.